When you really boil it down, politics is a battle. But it's not just a battle for votes or for power, it's a battle for our collective mind. It's this constant tug of war between what's real and what's not, and that struggle has shaped pretty much all of human history.
So, let's kick things off with a pretty wild idea. What if our entire society, all of our arguments, our news, our social media feeds, what if it all acted like one giant, messy, complicated brain?
And there's actually a name for this: collective cognition. The idea is that politics isn't just about elections. It's this massive neural network. Information and ideas, and even tension, are like little electrical signals, zipping between all of us. And together, they shape the reality we all share. A reality that can be clear or really, really chaotic.
All right, so if we're running with this idea that society is a brain, then the next logical question is, well, how does it think? Turns out, it seems to operate in one of two very different modes. One that's plugged into the truth, and another that's completely lost in illusion. And you can see the two states right here. On one hand, you've got the truth mode. This is where things are clear, where reason and open discussion lead to a kind of balance. But then you have the flip side, the illusion mode. That's driven by pure emotion, manipulation, chaos, and distorted information. One state helps us grow and connect, the other just tears us apart. We can take this brain analogy even further. Think of open, honest debate as a healthy flow of information. It lets this social brain process tension and think through problems. But then you get things like propaganda and censorship, and those act like a disturbance. They throw the whole system into chaos, or, just as bad, lock it into these rigid, unthinking beliefs.
And really, the stakes couldn't be higher. There's this quote that just nails it. When transparency dominates, societies experience integration and innovation. When secrecy or deception dominates, they experience fragmentation and regression. So yeah, this isn't just some academic theory. The mode our collective brain is in literally determines if we move forward as a species or just fall apart.
So, who's at the controls of this massive social brain? Well, that brings us to our leaders. They aren't just people in charge. They're more like cognitive operators, actively tuning the frequency of our collective mind toward truth or toward illusion.
And when you look back through history, leaders pretty much fall into two camps. You've got the balancers, the ones who work hard to create clarity and reason, and then you've got the breakers, who actually gain power by intentionally smashing that cognitive balance into a million pieces.
I mean, just look at these historical matchups. They are so incredibly stark. On one side, you have people like Pericles, Lincoln, and Mandela, leaders who really tried to increase what we actually know to be true. And on the other side, Caligula, Napoleon, Stalin. These guys were masters of what you could call engineered fooling. They built their power on illusion.
Okay, so what's in the balancer toolkit? Well, they encourage open debate, they push for education, they're transparent about their reasoning. A perfect modern example is Nelson Mandela's Truth and Reconciliation Commission, a process specifically designed to heal the collective mind of a nation through shared understanding and truth.
And then you have the breakers. Their playbook is, well, it's the exact opposite. They thrive on spectacle, fear, and big emotional theater. They censor information, literally rewrite history books, and create this alternate reality. It's a kind of mass emotional hypnosis, meant to completely bypass our ability to think clearly.
Now, all of this historical stuff, it probably sounds frighteningly familiar, right? Because this whole dynamic is crashing right into our world today. Except now, the tools used to create illusion have evolved in ways we're still struggling to understand.
The real game changer today? It's just sheer speed. Misinformation, emotional manipulation, propaganda, it doesn't just spread anymore. It moves instantly across the entire globe. That's a fundamental shift in the very physics of how our collective brain works.
And this leads to what is maybe the most important takeaway from all this. Simply put, the speed of fooling now surpasses human cognitive adaptation. Our brains, yours and mine, our collective brain, we just haven't evolved fast enough to handle a world where illusion can be manufactured and spread this quickly.
And these are the new weapons being used in that battle for our minds. Things like algorithmic echo chambers, AI-generated misinformation, deepfakes. They're so effective because they're basically precision engineered to hack our own cognitive biases. These modern disturbances aren't just eroding our trust. They're actively working to break our collective brain.
Okay, so that all sounds pretty bleak, right? But it's not hopeless.
It's one thing to diagnose the problem, but we can actually talk about a path forward, a way to try and recalibrate and bring our collective mind back into balance.
The bottom line is, the old ways of leading just won't cut it anymore. To fight back against these super fast, high-tech forms of illusion, we have to completely evolve how we even think about leadership and governance. So what we really need is a whole new framework, something called cognitive ethics. This is a world where leaders see their main job as being good stewards of our shared mental space. Their role is to ensure information is clear, to be amplifiers for logic instead of emotion, and to bring together all kinds of intelligence, scientific, ethical, and emotional, when they govern.
And that leaves all of us with one last really important question to think about. In this new world, where literally anyone can become a breaker with a smartphone, who is ultimately responsible for keeping our collective brain in balance? Because it can't just be our leaders anymore. It forces every single one of us to ask what our own role is in protecting our shared reality.